Hi, hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Karina and today I'm going to be sharing some of my 2026 bookish goals. First of all, Happy New Year! I hope you had a great end to your 2025 and are looking forward to what this year has to offer. I wanted to share this list of bookish goals so that I can come back at the end of 2026 and reflect on how I was able to do throughout the year. I am going in with high hopes and a positive mindset, so I am excited to see what I'm able to kind of accomplish throughout the year. I don't know about you guys, but I do love to set a one-word intention to have something to kind of strive for and hope to embody throughout this new year. And for 2026, I decided that my intention is going to be glow. For me, glow means doing things that give me energy instead of draining me, whether that's emotionally, creatively, or mentally. I think that is something that I would love to work towards in 2026, whether that's in my personal life or in the bookish spaces. I just would love to have a more positive aura going into the new year. So let's talk about the bookish goals that I have on my list. In regards to my Goodreads goal, I decided that I'm just going to set my goal to one book. I just feel like the Goodreads goal is such an arbitrary thing to kind of have looming over myself, and I know that I'm obviously going to exceed that, but I think for me personally, I would rather focus on the books that I'm reading rather than the amount and hope for better quality than quantity. I've toyed with this in the past, but I think 2026 is the year that I'm going to follow through with it because, again, reading is just for fun. It's just a hobby and it does not need to be stressing us out, at least for me. So I'm just going to be sending it to one book, get it out of the way, and read stress-free for the rest of the year. My next goal is to physically read 1 to 2 books a month. And I know that might sound crazy to some of you, but I'm pretty much exclusively an audiobook reader these days, and that has not always been the case, but for the last few years, I have been listening to an audiobook every second I possibly can. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think I just miss being able to consume a book with my eyeballs. And again, I know that might sound crazy to you, but it's still gonna be a challenge for me. And I'm not setting this specific goal for like complete novels. Like I'm gonna be trying to read some novellas, some mangas, graphic novels, like everything that I would have to consume physically. I'm gonna do my best. I'm gonna try and get to 1 to 2. 1 is the baseline, but if I can get to more than 1, that would be great. This isn't technically on my list, but I want to kind of get or break out of such a strict like monthly timeline, whether I finish a book in the same month or not. I think I'm trying to be more open to less rigorous timelines in that regard, if that makes sense. We strayed off track a little bit. Talk about my next goal, and that is to complete my 2026 TBR. Now, I do have a list of 26 and 26 that you're going to be seeing soon, and I would just love to accomplish that goal because I did put books that I own physically on that list, and of course, it's always, on the back of my mind that I need to decrease that own physical TBR number, and that's the only way I'm going to do it is if I read those books. So definitely one of my bigger goals of the year. I would also love to read 1 classic per quarter. You might have heard me say this before, but I'm convinced I'm going to be a classics girly in my 30s, and I can't let another year go by where I don't read a single one. So we're going to try and get to 4 this year. I should be able to accomplish this goal, but my fingers are crossed nonetheless. In 2026, I also want to binge read more series. I'm kind of sick of allowing myself to read a book in the series and not continuing for another month, 2 months, 2 years. I want to just be able to binge read right through them so that I don't lose any knowledge of the plot or the characters. I find myself more and more often starting a series and like not picking it back up, which then forces me to have to reread books 1, 2. It's just an ongoing cycle, and I want to break that in 2026. Another big thing on my list is to kind of diversify my genres that I read each month. The main genres I want to incorporate into my monthly reads are literary fiction. I can't remember the last lit fic I read, so going into this year, I need to get back to my roots because I do love a literary fiction. Historical fiction is another genre I'm going to be diving into more this year. Romantasy just is always, like, my attention always wants to pick up a romantasy book, and I think I just need to follow the mood and pick more up throughout the year. And horror. 2025 is a year that I discovered that I actually do enjoy horror, so I'm gonna be doing my best to just pick them up more often because I have actually found some new favorites, as you probably might have seen in my favorite of 2025 video. I'm gonna link that down below in case you want to check it out, but definitely on the agenda for the year. Another one that could always use improvement is less willy-nilly spending and more intentional book buying. Like regarding subscription boxes, I've been doing pretty good with skipping months that I don't necessarily need the book immediately for, or something that I'm not interested in. Both Fairloot and Illumicrate have a calendar year limit to the amount of times you can skip, so I try not to abuse it too much because I don't want to lose my subscription, because once you cancel, you have to wait over a year to even get the invitation back. So all that to say, okay, I do have a few exceptions, and that is series sequels, some anticipated releases from my favorite authors, and I am quickly, reminding myself that I don't need to own every single book that I read, and I don't want to keep bringing in books that I don't know I'm gonna love them. I have found that there are definitely instances of books getting hype, and I'm just so excited because everyone loves it, and then I read it and I'm like, not for me. So I just need to be more selective with books that are coming in, and soon you'll be seeing a book haul that, just reminds me I have enough books. So keep your eyes open for that. But yes, intentional book buying is absolutely at the top of my list. In addition to that specific goal, just being smart and utilizing my library as much as I can. I already do really well with that, but regarding new releases, I think is where I need to get them from the library. Libby exists, Hoopla exists. I don't need a physical copy. I also have Kindle Unlimited, so utilizing those resources before necessarily needing to buy a physical copy. Where they get me is the limited deluxe editions with sprayed edges. I'm trying to really break that FOMO cell in my brain because I don't need every single sprayed edge copy. I see you, okay? That's just me talking to me, but very much at the forefront of my brain in 2026. Another goal I have, because I've already touched on wanting to explore more in the horror genre, I have a TBR for the horror bingo board that Sarah from Wicked Reading does, and I'm gonna link her announcement down below, but it's basically a year-long challenge that starts in October through the end of September of the following year. So going into 2026, I still have, a full 9 months. However, I did start the horror bingo in October. I just had a little pause during those holiday months, and then I've already been able to check some off in October. So we're gonna jump back in from January through September and aim for a blackout. So I think I can do it. And the last goal that I have to round out my list of bookish goals for 2026 is less scrolling. Okay, less scrolling and more reading, essentially. Scrolling, whether that's on Instagram, TikTok, whatever the case is, it doesn't do me a lot of good. It's just aiding into my comparing myself, and that's just not good for anybody. So less scrolling equals more reading. And that's the list. Stepping into this new year, one of my biggest personal goals is less self-doubt and more confidence. And I think being able to kind of work on this list and maybe some of my personal goals as well will definitely help me in this area. So I'm excited to kind of see where 2026 takes me and how I'm able to do with this list. So if you're up for sharing, I'd love to hear what some of your 2026 bookish goals are, and if you have any that are similar to my list, because we can be each other's biggest cheerleaders, because we're going to be positive and we're going to reach these goals together. Thank you so much for watching and hanging out with me today as I went over my 2026 bookish goals. If you're still watching and you want to let me know, feel free to leave the sparkle emoji, because this year we are gonna glow together. I hope you have a lovely day, afternoon, or night whenever you're watching, and I'll see you again soon in another video. Until next time.